I'm very proud to introduce Ali Waked from Merchavim. We'll start with Ali. I have to say that beyond his fabulous work with Merchavim, an important note and just a little plug here, he's also the co-writer of the award-winning film Bethlehem, which won the Israeli version of the Oscar this year and will be Israel's nominee for the Oscar, the Ophir Award. And actually we're screening it here in February, so you could join us then, and hopefully you'll be back for that. But you'll be hearing a lot about him in the next few months. Next, I'd like to invite up Ami Nachshon from the Abraham Fund, Executive Director, who is in spirit, I feel, very much what our festival is, if I dare say. And their work today focuses much on bringing Arabic and Arab teachers into Jewish schools in Israel. And finally, the director of the film, please welcome Ganita Luz. To lead the conversation, we are very proud to welcome back Brenda Bonheimer Zlatan.
Thank you. Is this on? Yeah. Okay, great. So just a little housekeeping before I start. There are sign-up sheets for the task force back there on that table. And if you pick up this little card, you can take a little picture of it with your smartphone, and then you will be part of the task force Facebook page. And you'll get lots of updates and wonderful analysis, media updates, lots of good things. So please do that. So welcome, everyone. We thought we'd start with a question for Ami, who in his role as president of the Abraham Fund Initiatives really has a wide, kind of wide-angle view of the different programs, both to employ Arab teachers, to teach Arabic. Hadil, as I said before, Hadil is actually part of a program that's run by Merchavim, which is the organization that Ali works for. He's the deputy director of Merchavim. But Ami, in his position as head of the Abraham Fund Initiatives, really has a kind of wide-angle view, and I know you'll tell us a little bit about the school system in Israel, about this program to place Arab teachers in the school system, and maybe a little bit about the evaluation that you conducted.
In 3 minutes, of course, Brenda.
Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, thanks to everybody for coming, and thank you for making this important and beautiful film, really. As most of you, I think, know, and it was alluded to in the film, Israel, in its infinite wisdom, created parallel school systems under the umbrella of public education. There are some of us looking back, with the wisdom of hindsight of 65 years, saying, may not have been the best idea ever. But the reality is that the vast majority of Arab Israeli kids attend schools where the primary language is Arabic. The vast majority of Jewish kids attend schools where the primary language of instruction is Hebrew. And even that's an oversimplification because you have secular streams and religious schools, and you have magnet schools, charter schools. It's a very complicated school system for a fairly small country. And yet, the challenge of that educational system is that kids grow up really sort of uniculturally. And they grow up uniculturally and unilinguistically, and in the vast majority of cases, most also live in communities that are dominantly of their own group. There are mixed cities, there are mixed neighborhoods, but the rule in Israel is really people's choice or not choice to live separately. There's no legal restriction to not living separately, by the way. But the norm is really separate living in different schools. As a result of that, we raise children in cocoons. We raise them in almost separate parallel universes in Israel. And we believe, and I won't speak for Merchavim, but I know that Merchavim believes as well, that that's not a good platform, that's not a healthy foundation for building a shared society where everyone belongs and everyone contributes and everyone gets. And so our organization, the Abraham Fund, along with Merchavim and numbers of others, work very hard to create what we call a shared society, a society where everybody feels like they're a shareholder and not just a participant, where everybody feels like they're at the board of directors, where they contribute and participate in every aspect of society. And a very foundational piece of that for us is language and culture. As somebody in the film said, One of the boys, I think, said that the answer to the problem is that everybody should grow up speaking the language of their neighbor. It's very, very clear and very simple. And so the Abraham Fund started about 8 years ago to develop a model program of teaching Arabic, conversational Arabic language and culture as a second language, starting in elementary school, as something that we believe should be a national mandate. And in fact, today, our program and Merchavim's program combined, reach almost 250 schools in Israel, something like 15 to 20% of all of the public Jewish elementary schools in the country. We just finished a study, as Brenda suggested, a 3-year study looking at the Abraham Fund's 200 schools roughly, and over a period of 3 years, looking at what impact that program of conversational Arabic language and culture being taught by Arab teachers, what impact that had on kids, on their attitudes, on their values, on their stereotypes, on their hopefulness about the future, on their ability to really learn the language of their neighbor, what impact it had on teachers and what impact it had on principals. And I will tell you the results of this outside study were stunning, and we're very, very excited about them. And I want to just share a couple of highlights with you. As you saw in the film, there were tough moments. And every teacher who's working in a Jewish school, every Arab teacher is having tough moments. There's no question about it. But when we asked the teachers how they felt being in a Jewish school, over 90% of them felt like the experience allowed them to feel more part of Israeli society, to learn more about their Jewish neighbors, and that their comfort level was high. When we asked the principals, how was it to have Arab staff in your school, which is again, not the norm in Israel. 90-some% of the teachers felt that it was very successful, of the principals felt that it was very successful. These were not principals who chose to have Arab teachers in their school. These were principals whose districts said, your school will teach Arabic to all of your children. More than 90% of those principals now believe that Arabic should be a mandatory second language in all of Israel's schools. And in a sense, that's the end of the story, in a way, the most important point of the story. And finally, 85% of the principals and 85% of teachers said that they faced no objection from parents whatsoever. Now, it does mean that there are some parents who object. But 85% in a country that's quite divided and quite polarized by ethnicity, not too bad. And so we feel like those programs are headed in the right direction. The Ministry of Education has now decided, because Merchavim and the Abraham Fund have placed Arab teachers in Jewish schools to teach Arabic, the Ministry of Education now decided that, you know what, there's a shortage of Jewish teachers in Jewish schools, and there's a surplus of trained Arab teachers in the workforce. What can we do about this? Let's start bringing Arab teachers into Jewish schools to teach math and science and nature and everything else. And so the Ministry of Education now started a program to bring 500 Arab teachers into Jewish schools, because they know what we know, that the teacher is not just there as a conveyor of information. The Arab teacher in the Jewish school is an ambassador for their community, for their culture, and for Arab society in Israel. Thank you.
So, Ali, you yourself have been a high school principal, and today you're the deputy director of Merchavim. I know that you're involved in training the Arab teachers who work in your program. And so tell us a little bit about how it looks from your perspective.
First, I must admit that although I'm working in Merchavim, this was the first time for me seeing the movie. I refused seeing it on small screens as somebody who understands a little bit in movies and films. I waited the moment to see it in big screen. And I must say that some of the dilemmas that the students and the teachers faced in Merchavim, as a kid, I didn't face them, because since the kindergarten I studied with Jewish students, with internationals. We were Arab, Christian, Muslims, more than 45 nationalities in a school. It was a French school, but this is the sad thing, that in order to be in the same school with Jews and with others, you cannot be, at that time at least, you couldn't be in an Israeli public school. So immediately when you're grown up, you don't have any kind of stereotypes and When there are some fights, they are between classmates and not between an Arab and a Jew. All these dilemmas of the Day of Independence and of the Holocaust, we didn't face them since it was part of the curriculum. We studied the two narratives, plus, of course, the big superior French one. But this shows the difference between studying since 3 or 4 years old with people from different backgrounds. What we saw in the movie is Hadil. It seems like Hadil facing by her own all the dilemmas, and that it is a matchup between Hadil and the principal. In Merchavim, and I guess, of course, in the Abraham Fund program, there is a whole team that is kind of supporting, following, supervising the program. When you saw Hadil in between the cars crying and speaking to the phone, she was actually speaking with Kamal, who is one of the support member of Merchavim, and there is Merchavim hold a meeting with Hadil, with the principal, in order to understand. And some of the conclusions we reached was that an understanding with most of the principals that in the Day of Independence, the teachers will be allowed to assist the ceremony, to be outside the ceremony, or even to not reach the school. I myself, I can tell you that I disagreed with Hadil about the link she made with the Holocaust Day. We as a person and in Merchavim, we don't think there is anything to link with the Shoah, any other suffering. But for the Independence Day, we reached this agreement with the principals. And as Ami said, the great achievement of this program is the fact that the Ministry of Education understand. The ministry was spending thousands of dollars in recruiting people who work in the high tech to the teaching field in Israel, and on the other hand, spending thousands of dollars in taking out from the circle of unemployment Arab teacher who didn't find work in teaching. And we said that it is simple. There is not a shortage in teachers. Apparently, there was a lack of Jewish teachers, and the state is guessing that Arabs cannot be good teachers for math, for sciences, and for English. And we're very, very proud that together the Ministry of Education adopted our vision that Arab teachers can be teaching in Jewish schools materials that are other than Arabic. And the challenges are huge, but we think that the values and the contribution are also huge. I will add something that was not part of Merchavim goals when it started the program. You saw, by the way, I can say that in the movie it was focused about the culture teaching. There is a whole Arab language teaching, of course, in class. But we discovered recently, I am directing in Merchavim a program, an initiative called Kulana. Now maybe we have the occasion to talk about it. But this aims to bring different NGOs and groups together. And I discovered running this initiative that some of our Arab teachers are becoming activists in NGOs in their towns that aim to bring Arab and Jews together. And the teachers told me that they don't, like Ami said, they're the ambassadors of the Arab community in schools, but they are also the ambassadors of the Jewish community and the Jewish culture in their homes, in their families, and in their towns.